Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the most breathtaking scenes in cinema. So before we get into the video, I just want to say that this is not like my list of I think these are the greatest scenes in cinema history. These are just like the scenes that have stuck with me ever since I saw them. And they play in my head like rent free. They're like ingrained in my memory. So that is what this list is going to be about. I have 15, and let me tell you, it was freaking hard to narrow it down. I was going to go for 10, but I just couldn't decide between a few. I had like 20, but we narrowed it down to 15 because I don't want to be talking for too long. So let's get into the video. Okay, so we're going to start. By the way, these are in no particular order, but we're starting with the boat destruction scene in Pirates of the Caribbean. So if you're not familiar with the scene I'm talking about, I don't remember which Pirates of the Caribbean it's in, by the way, but I do remember this scene so vividly, and it's one of those scenes that I was like, wow, this is cinema, you know? So, uh, basically, if you're unfamiliar with the scene, I'll give you a little play-by-play. So, the captain of this ship realizes they're done. The ship's gonna go down, everyone's gonna die. He's failed, basically. He's like a semi-villain in the story, and we all hate him throughout the movie series. I think this might be in the third movie that this happens. But he realizes, okay, I'm dead. And so he's like, all right, I'm captain, so I'm going down with the ship, I guess. And he just walks through this amazing slow motion scene of everything blowing up and like the whole boat being destroyed. And he's like going down a staircase, and while he's going down it, the staircase is exploding. And it's just like, it's so hard to explain, but this scene inspired this video. I was thinking about this scene the other day, and I was like, I need to make a video about all these scenes that have like ingrained themselves in my memory and just do them some justice, you know? So the next one is the final Agni Kai in Avatar The Last Airbender. Obviously, if you're not new to this channel, then you know I love Avatar The Last Airbender. It's like one of those series that I can just talk about forever. But we're not doing this in that video. In this video, I mean. Oops, slip of the tongue. Anyway, so this scene, if you're unfamiliar, once again, is the final Agni Kai, and it's a duel between Azula and Zuko. And they're fighting, and it's just one of those scenes that I hear the music playing in that scene in my head all the time. Like, not all the time, but you know what I mean. Like, every now and then I think about that scene and the music, and the whole scene is silent except for the music, of course, and the fire blows being dealt. You hear that, and it's just so amazing. There's no dialogue except for a few dialogue parts, but a lot of it is just like the music, the fighting. It's gorgeous. It's one of those scenes that I think about all the time. The colors, the music, the choreography, the everything is just like, once again, these are not in order in any means, because I could not for the life of me rank these in order. There's just no way for me to do that, because all of these are just so near and dear to my heart, and they just stuck with me. Okay? And the next one is Jurassic Park, the T-Rex escape scene. This is one of the most iconic scenes in cinema history. So it's not just something that stuck with me, but I think that has influenced a lot of films. The scene where we all know it, where you hear the T-Rex stepping, the puddle in the footprint. No, not that's another scene. The water in the cup starts rippling, and you realize, wow, this is something big coming. And they're next to the T-Rex pen. The electricity's gone out. They're stuck in their little electric cars on the railway thingy. I have no idea how that works, by the way. I think it's supposed to be like those tram things, but just with cars. Anyway, Science aside, there's that scene is just so amazing. Like the T-Rex showing up, the whole chaos, the fear in the characters, it's just gorgeous, and I could not leave this out of this list. So the next one is Elena remembering all compulsions after turning into a vampire in Vampire Diaries. That's why I wore this hat, because I was like, I'm talking about it, so I'm wearing the hat. And once again, if you're not new to this channel, you probably know I love Vampire Diaries and a lot of like occult and fantasy media. So it's not strange by any means that one of the scenes is also ingrained in my memory from this show. There are a few, but I wanted to pick the one that just like shows up in my head the most. I could think of another one, but it was hard enough eliminating some of them. Okay, so I can't do more than one from one series or show or thing. So one of a kind, okay? Anyway, so this scene is when she turns into a vampire, Lena, the main character of this show, and she goes through this range of emotions, which you can so clearly see on the actress's face. And I don't think Nina Dobrev gets enough credit for her acting in that series, really. And like as Elena, as Catherine, as every version of Elena, just amazing. But anyway, getting back to the scene, sorry, got distracted ranting again. She turns into a vampire, and after you start turning into a vampire, you remember all the times your memory has been wiped by another vampire, because obviously you're turning into a vampire and now you're not a human anymore, so that compulsion is lifted. And long story short, she walks through her house and like through her memories, remembering every single moment that her memory has been wiped. And she just realizes like that Damon's been there for her all along and stuff like that. But also, it's just such a beautiful scene. The way they like go through the memories and the music playing in the background, and her just like confusedly looking around, like, is this real? Is this not? Because of course, how could you know what's happening? She sort of knows that this happens when you get turned into a vampire and like the compulsion starts to wear off, but she's never experienced it. So it's so cool how they showed it, how her mind is going through these moments. And I just love that scene so much. So the next one is, sorry, I think my cat's playing in the background, if you can hear that. Sorry. So the next scene is the Walking Dead Rick slowly bleeding out scene. Let me paint you a picture of this scene. So I have made a full video about The Walking Dead. If you want to watch it, please go watch it. It'll be in the same playlist this video's in, so go check it out. But this moment is one of the moments that I loved so much in this show, and it's the most amazing scene. Rick is like, he falls into like, I think it's a pole or something, kind of like The Last of Us style, with Joel falling on that piece of rebar or whatever you call it. I think that's what happens to him. I don't quite remember how it started, but I remember the scene so vividly. And that's the whole point of this video, like a scene that stuck with you, no matter what the context, no matter what media. Like, I wanted to put in game cutscenes, but I decided I'll probably make a video about that another time. So I just wanted to stick to movies and shows. But basically, he is really injured, he's starting to bleed out, and he has to get back home because walkers slash zombies are heading to their home. He gets up and like he starts hallucinating memories, and you see him talking to a bunch of characters we've lost in the show, which is so hard because I get so attached to characters, you guys don't even know. But that scene is just so beautiful. The whole time he's just getting more and more tired, and like he's dying. In the whole scene he's busy dying, he's bleeding out. And like I said in that other video, this is one moment in the end where he doesn't die. And I so wanted this scene to be his beautiful ending because this was such a beautiful scene. The whole time he's going through memories with Shane, and he's talking to what's his name? Herschel, and so many characters, and it's just so beautiful. And the whole time I'm thinking like, wow, okay, like they're actually gonna kill Rick off. And whether he died or not, this scene is one of those moments I'll remember forever. And yeah, so the next scene is, of course, from Harry Potter. You guys know I love Harry Potter. But by the way, I tried not to go for things that were just my favorite, like shows and movies, but it's really difficult. Okay. So some of them are from my favorite things, some of them aren't. Doesn't matter. So this scene from Harry Potter is when Harry Potter and Sirius have a conversation in Grimmauld Place, or yeah, Grimmauld Place. And basically, Harry is struggling because the part of Voldemort that lives inside him is starting to kind of like not take over, but like have some influence on him. And he asks Sirius, like, am I evil? Like, am I turning evil? Am I turning into my enemy? And there's this like whole beautiful conversation where Sirius like talks to him, and he like talks about his family and how he was like exiled from his family because he's kind. And it's just like this whole thing about your choices make who you are, and it's just such a beautiful moment. And I remember that scene so well. It's just so gorgeous. The black family tapestry on the walls as wallpaper, the conversation, the acting. Oh, gorgeous. But anyway, so the next one is from Lost. So this scene from Lost that I like remember all the time. There's a lot in Lost I remember all the time, but I try to think about the one that like pops up in my brain the most. And it's the time slipping scene where Desmond slips through time and he has this whole emotional moment with Penny, and they like reunite through time, and it's just like so beautiful, and I cry myself to death every time I see it. And it's just so cool because Desmond is definitely my favorite character in the show. And this whole episode and this whole scene, he's going through time, going through his life, realizing that everything has been intertwined, everything has been kind of out of his control, and he's destined to be separated by Penny, but he's also destined to meet her and to love her. And there's this whole beautiful phone call, which is the scene I'm actually talking about mostly, where he talks to Penny and they like realize that they're talking through time. And oh, it's so cool. But anyway, so the next scene is from The Hunger Games, and it's Rue's death. There were a few scenes I thought about when I thought about The Hunger Games, but this scene definitely sticks with me ever since the first moment I saw that movie. To give some context, I didn't read the books before I watched the movie. Like, I saw the movies, then I decided later on to read the books because I was so interested in the lore and the world and the characters. But the first time I saw the movie and I saw Rue die, it's one of those heartbreaking moments where you realize like shit got serious, you know? Because this movie, although it has been sad and heartbreaking and tough to see these kids kill each other, that moment with Rue dying and Katniss singing to her, and that scene is just so beautiful and sticks in my head all the time. And of course, the moment where she looks into the camera and pays respect to Rue, to her people, and damn, you know, I get chills just thinking about it. It's such a good scene. To move on, because I'm a little past halfway through, so we need to get faster over here. But the next scene is from Arrow. So this scene is where Quentin Lance and Oliver have their last conversation. So if you're not familiar with the Arrow, it's a DC show about the Arrow. He's a character that has like a bow and arrow and stuff, like pretty self-explanatory, okay? But this scene, Quentin Lance is kind of like a father figure for Oliver, who is the main character, the Arrow. His name is Oliver. And they're having this conversation in a hospital. Quentin's been shot, and Oliver doesn't yet know that this is the last conversation they're gonna have. But this scene is so beautiful. The acting between Stephen Amell and the guy who plays Quentin Lance, and just this is what makes movies good and shows good. These scenes. Like, you can have an action scene and a fight scene and a funny scene all you want, but this scene, deep conversation, deep character work, like, it's just like, I can't get it out of my head. They have this conversation, and Oliver tells Quentin basically, like, you've been a father to me. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I'm trying to not quote the scene directly. You can watch it if you want to see it. But they have this beautiful moment, and it's their last conversation. Like, I'm gonna die. Anyway, the next scene is from Arcane. No surprise there. Arcane is a masterpiece, and I actually got a tattoo to represent Jinx, and this, and Arcane as a whole, but Jinx is just like one of those characters that I feel so connected to, and I identify with her a lot, which is depressing, but it is the case. And this scene I'm going to talk about is Jinx's death. The whole scene is so beautiful. She has this moment with Vi and with Vander, like this whole gruesome version of Vander that isn't him anymore. The whole scene is so beautiful. The dialogue, the music, just her facial expressions, which is just like peace. She's just happy to let go, and then the music is singing like, please let me go, you know, and it's just like, okay. The next scene we're talking about is from Barbie, the movie, the live action movie, just in case you're wondering if I'm talking about the animated ones. And it's the scene, they call it like the You're So Beautiful scene, but basically, if you're like wondering what scene that is, it's the scene where Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie, sits in the park, and she's sitting on a bench, and her eyes are closed, and she's going through the life of the person who owns her, like her Barbie doll, which, yeah, it's hard to explain outside of the context of the movie, but you'll get it if you've seen it. And she's sitting there going through the emotions, and she realized like what it means to be human. And she looks around, and she sees all these people. Like, there are people being happy, being sad, being angry, and she goes through the emotions with them. And then she turns to her right, I think it's her right, and there's an old lady sitting there. And this is my favorite scene in the movie, but it's also one of those scenes, like I said, that's stuck with me until now. And I've only seen the Barbie movie once. No, I think I've seen it twice, actually. Never mind. But besides that, it stuck with me. And she turns to this old lady, and she looks at her. The old lady smiles at her. She smiles at the old lady, and she says, "You're so beautiful." And you can just feel like she meant every single word. And the old lady just smiles at her and says, "I know it." And they have this beautiful laugh together, and it still gives me chills just thinking about it. It's one of those scenes that it's like, that's what it means to be a woman, and what it should mean to be a woman. And oh my word. I can't explain why I love it so much. It just gives me chills, and it makes me cry. So let's move on. The next one is from Avengers Infinity War, the snap scene. This scene was probably the first time a scene has affected me physically more than mentally, because after that scene, I went for like a few days. I was in a daze. Not to rhyme. But I was shocked, truly and utterly shocked. And it was one of those scenes that is like, you don't believe it while you see it. And I don't know, it's just such a good scene. And that's why, like, that scene is amazing. But by the way, let's just paraphrase the scene quickly, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, or you forgot, or whatever, in all the chaos, you know, of Infinity War and Endgame. You sometimes forget the small things, but this was not a small thing, but you know what I mean. So basically, Thanos snaps, not in like a he snapped like he snaps. And we see the people, half of the population disappear. And of course, we see it through seeing the characters we love disappear. And the whole scene, it's just like there's just this thunder sound in the background, like thunder rumbling, before thunder happens, the like rumbling sound. The whole scene that's happening, and the characters are slowly realizing something's wrong. It feels like there's a rift in the universe, and damn, that scene is just so good. They like cornflake into ash, and very sadly, I'm making light of it, but it was very sad. I was just shocked the whole time. I didn't even cry. I was just like the whole time I was just looking at the screen, being like, "Can't be serious! Like, can't be serious!" And the whole time, I was just looking and like dumbfounded. And that's what a good scene should do. It should have an effect on you that is like lasting and memorable. And it was just amazing. So, moving on, we're going to talk about this scene, which is the Catra brainwashed scene in She-Ra Princess of Power. So, let me just break down the scene a little bit. Basically, Catra and She-Ra are in the scene. Catra is brainwashed by the villain. I do not remember his name, to be honest with you. Hordak or something? Horde Prime is the main villain. Okay, there you go. But Catra's brainwashed, and this scene is basically the whole scene. She-Ra, aka Adora, is trying to stop her friend, like, from hurting her or herself. And the whole time she's like trying not to hurt Catra, but Catra's trying to kill Adora because she's brainwashed. And the whole time she's like pulling her punches, trying to not hurt her while trying to break through to her. And the scene is just so beautiful. It's chilling. Like, that moment is when the show went from a kid's show to amazing. And if you have not seen She-Ra and the Princess of Power, I know you might think, oh, it looks so like childish and girly. And the first season, I'd say, is definitely like the lowest part of the show. But from the second season onwards, it really starts to get amazing. And it starts to be amazing storytelling, amazing music, amazing everything. And this scene is like the best part of the show, or like the best scene in the show, in my opinion, or my favorite scene. And the whole time, it's just, you're so heartbroken that these people are going to fight. And they fought before, but this is different because this time she's trying to kill her. And Adora is trying to stop her without hurting her. And the scene ends with her basically self exiting, and she dies. Like, people debate about it if she's just like heavily injured and Adora heals her, but she's dead. She fell like multiple stories and she's on the ground and she's dead. Like, I hate to break it. Adora also jumps down and her legs are broken. Like, if you've not really watched that scene closely, you might not notice it the first time. Like, I've watched that show way too many times. But I noticed that, like, her legs are broken. Adora's legs are broken. She jumped multiple stories, her legs are broken, and Catra is dead. That's why she crawls over to her and holds her in an embrace and then heals her, of course. But that moment of desperation, of like, please, do not be dead. I don't care if my legs are broken, I'm crawling over to you. It's just like such a beautiful scene and so heartbreaking. And the next scene is also a freaking heartbreaking one, which is very similar to that, which one I just talked about. The several stories drop. This one is from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I think you both know where I'm going with this. Gwen Stacy's death. This scene, I can play the whole thing in my head, and it's heartbreaking but beautiful. Gwen Stacy falls, and she's like Spider-Man's love interest, by the way, in that movie, if you're not familiar. She falls down this, like, I honestly don't know, like a warehouse or something, and Peter jumps down and reaches out to her and he tries to catch her, And there's this beautiful moment that they like, it's CGI, but it's like a beautiful use of CGI that I like love. The web like comes down, he like shoots a web trying to catch her, and the web comes down and it like opens up like a little hand. And like whoever thought of that when they were like thinking of the scene, just amazing, because that's like literally what he's doing. He's reaching out, trying to grasp her, trying to catch her. She's falling, thinking he's going to save me because he's saved me so many times and he's saved so many people. He'll catch me. And she's afraid, but she's like looking at him like, he'll catch me. And he's looking down like, please, 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 let me just catch her. And the web reaches her. And you just have this, this sound is stuck in my head, and it's been memed so many times that it like is kind of hard to take seriously now. But still, when you like think about it truly and deeply, the moment she smacks against the floor, and I know it sounds kind of funny, but the moment her head and her body hits the floor, that sound is so heartbreaking. Like the whole scene is silent, mostly, I think. And it's just like him jumping down, trying to catch her. She's falling, looking at him. The web is reaching out and it finally gets her. And then you suddenly hear schmack. And she's dead. Her neck's broken, every bone in her body is broken. And he doesn't believe it for a second, and he like holds her and stuff, and it's just such a crazy scene that I cannot forget. So I had to put it on this list. And the last one is just as breathtaking, the scene from Oppenheimer where they detonate a nuke for the first time. And the whole scene, once again, I love it when they do this in movies. You can probably tell from some of these scenes I've picked, is silent. And you only hear like them breathing and the like tension and the music, but a lot of it is silent. You do not hear the nuke explode, which I love that choice they made. It felt so much more horrifying than if they just did like boom pow explosion, you know? So basically they're looking from inside the bunker. This is the first test of a nuclear weapon, and they're waiting for it to happen to set it off. And when it happens, there's just like this flash of light. And the whole thing, you're just hearing people's breathing, and that's basically it. And it's just such a breathtaking scene. The whole thing is like, it rocks you to your core, and you can just feel like you're there in the moment. And damn, it's just such a beautiful scene. And I can really tell why Oppenheimer was so popular, because, and like so critically acclaimed. Just this scene alone shows you just like, wow, it's amazing. And it's such a creative way to handle such a horrific and violent and explosive moment. It's not like any other bomb going off, you know? And it's just amazing. It's amazing. And all of these scenes are amazing. Once again, they're not in any particular order, but that was my last scene. And I talked for almost 30 minutes. So luckily I kept it under 30 minutes. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about these scenes. I don't know what, I think I wanted to do this video because I thought about that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, but I ended up remembering so many scenes that have stuck in my brain. And once again, I had to cut a lot. But I luckily narrowed it down to 15. And you guys can tell me, like, if one of these scenes like aren't one of those for you, tell me a scene in the comments that had a similar effect on you, like breathtaking, memory altering, you know, that has stuck with you since the moment you saw it. Tell me in the comments. I would love to hear one that has that effect on you, because of course everyone is different, everyone has different preferences, everyone has different moments that like stick with them. But these were definitely the top 15 scenes that have stuck with me. And I'd love to do a video where I talk about like the top 15 or top 10 cutscenes from games that have stuck with me. But maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. And if you do not know, I have a Patreon. So go join my Patreon if you want to. It's not very expensive and there's a lot of content over there, extra stuff, and I'm planning on doing more there. I know I haven't been, but there is a lot of backlog of content over there. Or you can join my YouTube members. There is a few stuff on there, but I will be posting more on there as well. But otherwise, if you can't afford that, I totally understand. Just subscribe, it's totally free, and I'll see you in the next video.